On Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, Sheriff Gualtieri held a press conference to provide updates on the officer-involved shooting by the St. Petersburg Police Department that took place on March 30th, 2024. During the conference, Sheriff Gualtieri also released the body camera footage of the incident. Small has been charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder and felon in possession of a firearm. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Pinellas County Jail. It began at Shadyside Food Mart, 4200 15th Avenue. Where CCTV film shows Small strolling down the sidewalk with a shirt slung over his shoulder at approximately 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. Small turns around and approaches the silver Honda Accord as it pulls into the Food Mart's driveway. Before a gunshot is heard and the vehicle takes off, Small seems to interact with the occupant. A 70-year-old man who was partially blind was in the front yard of a house on the 1600 block of 42nd Street South when Small stopped there after walking south for about a block following the shooting at the food store, according to Gualtieri. Small fired 2 rounds at the man in an attempt to gain his attention. Then, according to Gualtieri, Small rushed behind a house and fired another round. After running around the east side of the home and returned to the front, Sousa fired 13 shots at Small after noticing the gun in his grasp, according to body cam footage.
There's Small right there. Yeah, go ahead and stop it. Okay, so this is all dash camera video, and you can see where he turns around and he points the gun at Officer Sousa. And when there, he also turns back again and points the gun more at him when he's running. He runs south, he comes out to the east. The next thing you're going to see is it transitions from the dash camera to Officer Sousa's body-worn camera, and you'll hear the shots fired, and it all transpires from there. Okay, go ahead.
Shots fired, shots fired. Flag male, he's got a gun in his hand, he's in between the block. Lock it up, guys. Shot fired.
Who's doing the shooting? Police? 1024.
That's where he pops out over there.
Shots fired, subject down. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! 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 No, ground! Ground! Hands! Let me down! Let me go, don't move! Put your hands out! Put your hands out! Challenging. Put your hands out! Behind your back! Behind your back!
We need to know if you're good. Everybody gets
Here.
good.
Give us the air. We're on 40th Street, 1740. Get another in here, please. We are good, we are good. Suspect down.
Suspect down.
Yeah. I'm gonna cuff him. Put your hands behind your back! Hands behind your back!
Don't move!
So you can see when Small pops out again, he still has the gun in his hand. Officer Sousa sees it. So he decides to fire because he had already fired at the car at the Food Mart. He had already shot the citizen in his yard. He had already pointed the gun at Officer Sousa, fired at Officer Sousa, and now the guy's popping out again and he's running towards where Officer Johnson was. So this is really textbook, and Officer Sousa and Officer Johnson did a great job with this. And you can see where Officer Sousa actually transitions from his firearm to his taser, where Officer Johnson still has his firearm out, because When Sousa saw that he had dropped the gun in the driveway, so before he crosses the street, he drops the gun. So he knows he no longer has the gun, he's no longer a threat. So he appropriately transitions to less lethal force, where Johnson still has his gun out in case he had a secondary firearm, etc. And then they took him into custody. So they're really textbook, and it goes as a credit to the training that they received by the St. Petersburg Police Department and how they handle themselves in this and taking the guy into custody. So they both did a great job, and thankfully neither one of them were injured. So Small was taken to the hospital where he remained until yesterday when he was released, and transported to the county jail. Small's injuries are not life-threatening. He's been charged with one count of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, one attempted first-degree murder for the man that was in his yard, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. In that Glock with a 50-round drum, Small had 22 rounds of ammunition left. They were all a mixed match type of rounds, which is consistent with what we see with crime guns, and that's guns that are bought on the street and ammo that just hodgepodge together and throw into these things. That's not normal. It's not the way people do it. They usually go buy a box of rounds someplace and that's what they have. But when you have these crime guns that are floating around on the street like this, they just throw whatever they can get in them, and that's what happens. Now, I'm sure, there's no doubt in my mind that that gun was stolen, but I can't tell you from where because it's not listed in any of the databases we have. But that just means that somebody didn't report it, or when they did report it, they didn't have a serial number. But there's no doubt that that's a stolen gun, and that's how he got his hands on it. We don't know of any motive that Small had for trying to kill that man in his front yard on 42nd Street. And really, it just appears to be a random act of violence. And so we're very thankful that that citizen who was out doing yard work, 70 years old, partially blind guy, minding his own business, that Small wasn't a good shot, because that could have been a real tragedy in that random act of violence. We also don't know why he shot into the car at the Shady Side Food Mart. We have, as I said, have not been able to identify who owns the car or who was in it at the time. The photograph is here. There are some distinctions with that car. It is a newer model, gray Honda Accord. It has a black antenna on the top, and it has pretty distinctive wheels. So if anybody knows who was in that car or who owns that car, as it was seen about 5:30 p.m. This past Saturday at the Shady Side Food Mart at 42nd Street and 15th Avenue South. We'll have our public information office give you all some points of contact, and we ask that you put that out and ask anybody who knows whose car that is or who is in that car on Saturday at 5:30 at the Shady Side that they call and let us know who that person or those people are.